Hi there! Recently, I bought two Nintendo Switches on eBay. One was listed as untested, and the other one was described as having trouble turning on. I never owned a Switch, and buying one on eBay to fix up seemed like a good idea, but I couldn't leave my brother without one, so I bought two, and now let's see if they actually work. So obviously something is wrong since the right joystick is in this condition. I'm not sure what happens. Maybe the previous owner just pushed too hard and now the joystick is stuck in this position. It's also very sticky and dirty, so I'm definitely going to give a good clean before opening it. Now that I removed the cover, I can see why they couldn't turn on the switch properly. This part is slightly open and a part of the case is missing. Let's see what happens. Well, it doesn't turn on. And I'm not even entirely sure that I'm pressing the button all the way in. Maybe that's why I can't turn it on. I also noticed that on the back a screw is missing, and here in the areas where you should push to open the case, it's a bit broken and there are a few scratches. So maybe someone already tried to open it and fix the console. So that doesn't look promising. I'll remove all the other screws and then I should be able to have a look at this part. And as always, I want to remind you that my videos are based on my personal experience and should not be interpreted as tutorials. Certain repair procedures involve handling internal power supply components that might retain an electric charge. Do not attempt to replicate my actions without the guidance of an expert. I'm not sure if you can see that because it's very small, but a part of the power button fell off when I was removing the button cover, so definitely it's not going to work in that way. There's also a piece of transparent plastic, and I don't think that's from the switch because all the parts of the case are yellow. I didn't see anything like that here. And looking at the power button, I think that maybe something sharp hit the switch and now it's just broken like that. There's also a lot of dust in the fan and something written on the metal shield. So I'm definitely going to have a look at all the other parts of the switch since it's obvious that someone already opened it. But for now, let's just focus on the power button, and since it's very small, let's have a look at the microscope. So now with the microscope, you can see that this part is completely missing. I wasn't able to find any schematic online, but I was able to understand that these two parts should always be connected. Let's see. It makes contact and it makes contact. But over here, okay, it's working. But obviously nothing happens here. The whole part of the cable is missing. No, nothing happens. And I'm guessing that the part that fell off was just a piece of aluminum or something that allows the switch to make contact here and here. So if I press the switch, I'm guessing that it should make contact here. It's not very easy to do that. Let's see. Yeah. So that's not going to happen here. And I'm thinking that maybe I could search if I have any spare parts for this, because a few years ago I fixed the switch. It wasn't a switch light, so the parts might be different. I don't remember if this ribbon cable is the same, but maybe I could search and see if I can find anything useful, at least to replace this part. Otherwise, I'll have to order it. So I found this. A few years ago when I was fixing the switch, I bought a kit with all different spare parts, and there was also this ribbon cable, which of course is different from the switch light ribbon cable, so I can't use this to replace the broken one, but I could use one of these parts to replace this. So I'm going to secure this ribbon cable with some Kapton tape and remove one of these components to replace the broken one. I'm going to add a bit of flux just in the corners. I'm not using the hot air soldering station because it's a ribbon cable, so I'm afraid I could ruin all the other parts even with the Kapton tape. Finally, I was able to remove one switch, and I have to say it wasn't easy since one of them is even smaller than my soldering iron tip, so desoldering it without ruining the plastic part was a challenge. And now I'll use this to replace the broken one, and of course I'll need to do something about the broken trays. So I applied some tape to secure the cable and a bit of flux, trying not to damage the rest of the ribbon cable. I removed the switch, and since the pins are very small, removing all the solder with the soldering iron was a bit tricky, so I absorbed most of the solder using the desoldering braid. Then, by applying gentle pressure from underneath with tweezers, it came off without any issues. I have to say, looking at the cable without the switch really made me realize there was an actual hole there. Luckily, nothing that can be fixed. And now let's take care of the broken trays. I want to use this copper wire and flatten it with some tweezers just to be sure it doesn't stick out from the ribbon cable too much. And I didn't fix the trays before inserting the new switch because I didn't want to place the copper wire between the switch and the ribbon cable. That could create extra thickness, and over time, with repeated pressure from outside, it could break the trays or the switch again. So let's try to fix this. So I carefully scraped part of the trays to reconnect it. After that, I applied some flux, thinned the trays, and positioned the wires so it wouldn't stick out too much from the ribbon cable over time. Finally, just to be safe, I used some solder mask to protect it, prevent contact with other parts, and avoid damage. And now, I also need to check the connection with the multimeter, but before doing that, I also want to thank today's sponsor, PCBWay. They offer many services, including custom PCBs, injection molding, 3D printing, and many other features you can explore on their website. Whether you're starting with a small, simple project or moving on to something much more advanced, it's easy to customize almost every part of the design. You can decide on the exact size, layout, and overall shape that works best for you, and you're not limited when it comes to details, from the solder mask color to how the traces will look. On top of that, their website features a large active community with makers from all over the world sharing their work. A lot of these projects have a strong retro feel, and it's surprisingly easy to spend quite a bit of time browsing through them, whether you're looking for ideas, practical inspiration, or simply enjoying the creativity. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. And now let's test the cable with the multimeter. If it makes contact, the multimeter should make a sound like this. So let's see what happens when I press the switch. I'll have to hold the probes with just one hand. I have to say it's not easy. Well, it is working. Let's check this side. That's what I'm more concerned about. Unfortunately, I've already cured the solder mask here, so I have to use this part of the cable to test if it works. Let's see. Okay, maybe I'm pressing on the same trays, that's why they were making contact. Well, it is working now. But before trying to turn on the switch, I want to remove every part and every component because it's very dirty and dusty, especially the fans. There are also a few screws missing and a part of the metal shield has been cut. So I want to figure out what kind of work they did on this switch before me, and if there's anything else I should fix, and also why the right joystick is stuck in that position. There is so much dust inside, it almost looks like it cloned itself. I have to say I didn't notice anything strange except for the right joystick. While I was trying to figure out why it broke, I noticed that the rubber part is black, not because it's worn out, but just because it's a different model. So I think they opened the switch to replace this, but now it's broken again, so let's have a look at the microscope. Well, now that it's open, I didn't see anything strange or broken, so maybe they just pushed too hard the joystick and it was just stuck in that position. It was also very dirty, so I started to clean it and now it moves without any problem, but I'll definitely use some more contact cleaner and then we can test the switch. While assembling everything, I also cleaned off the thermal paste since it was dried out and had spread everywhere. Because the inside was really dusty, I decided to do a full internal cleaning as well. I also wanted to fix the broken part of the case since over time it would have let more dust in, so I used the old cover as a mold in a cotton swab to get the correct shape. Then I poured some resin, cured it with a UV light, sanded it down to match the shape of the case, and now I can finally test the switch. And now that everything is in place, let's see if it turns on. I really hope I fixed the issue by replacing that switch here on the ribbon cable and that the joystick will work. It turns on! I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's working. That's definitely a good sign. Well, the button works. Not sure if the volume also works. Yeah, it's working. The joystick too. And the screen seems to be working without any problem. Let's test the button. This is a test where you can see the symbol that you're pressing, so you're sure that everything is actually working. Okay, let's test the screen. And it works. And now I only need to test a game. I'm going to be using Animal Crossing. This is a gift from my mom for Christmas. It doesn't seem to work. It says to play a game, you can insert a game card. Well, let's try some compressed air. Maybe it's just a bit dirty. I hope so. Okay, it's working now. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to see, but it seems to be working. I've never owned a Switch and I never played Animal Crossing on a Switch, so... Okay. Again, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to see that, but I just hope it doesn't freeze here. But so far, so good. I remember on the DS and in the 3DS, they usually... Okay. You usually, like, wake up on a train. It seems to be working. It works. So I guess I just needed to fix the ribbon cable here and replace the joystick. This one actually works, but it was really dirty, so I just prefer to keep it as a spare part. I also want to use a protective film and a cover because I really don't want any scratches on my Switch. And now let's test the other one. Well, I tried turning on the second switch, and the good news is that it actually powers on. Unfortunately, I have to charge the battery, so I tried plugging in the charger, but when I looked at the USB-C port, something felt off. I couldn't insert the charger properly. It looks like someone must have forced or pulled the cable last time, so I'll have to open it and figure out what's going on inside.
When I opened the switch, I immediately noticed something was wrong because the capacitor was moving. That clearly meant someone had already tried to desolder the USB port. Online, I found the board deconstruction, but unfortunately, it was for a different revision, so it wasn't useful in this case. After that, I removed the USB port, and whoever worked on it before had damaged a couple of traces, but I don't think it was difficult to rebuild them. Once everything was cleaned and the old flags completely removed, I installed a new port. Then I plugged in the charger and the voltage was correct. So I powered on the switch and it was charging. I also tested the buttons, the screen, and ran Animal Crossing, and everything worked perfectly. Once again, I couldn't resist adding a matching case and joystick caps.
I have to say, replacing the USB port and the switch and the ribbon cable wasn't easy, but everything works fine now, so I really hope my brother will like the gift. Let me know in the comments what you think, and also if you ever had any similar problem, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to my Patreon page, and see ya in the next video. Bye!